be doing this.
Yes,
I can't wait to talk to this guy. We talk to him all the time, but today is a very special day. We get a chance to talk to him. A Raleigh native, legend, Hall of Famer. I can't name it all.
Yeah,
I can't name it all, but we got head coach LeVelle Moton for the North Carolina Central Eagles sitting here talking to us this morning. How you doing, Coach?
What's up, fellas?
How you
ladies?
doing? How's it going?
Victorious Vicky.
Hi.
How y'all doing, man? I appreciate you having me.
We're good.
Thanks for coming, man.
Coach, one of the reasons we want to have you on today, we wanted to talk to you because, as I mentioned, you're a Raleigh native and a legend, and it's so many powerful people doing great things, giving back to their community, and you are no exception to that rule. And you have a park dedication, a statue unveiling, and a number of other things, but being honored by the City of Raleigh and others. Just talk about how you continue to kind of look to give back to your community, because you always talk about your humble beginnings in Raleigh and what it meant to grow up in this city and then being able to come and give back. Just talk about how you kind of go through that process of continuing to give and give and give and come back to the community.
I think it's in my DNA. Matter of fact, I know it's in my DNA. I was raised by a praying grandmother who was pretty much the pillar in the community. And, she didn't have much, but whatever she had, she literally gave her last to strangers, to anyone. It was always someone knocking on the door to get something, a plate, or, she was a nurse also, so she could take your stitches out and stitch you up or whatever. So she kind of did everything, man. And she just really instilled in me that, what you have is a gift, right? And so it's a gift from God. And ultimately, your blessings come from how many people you bless in return. And so I've never forgotten that. And when I was like 10, she told me like the two most important days of my life was the day that I was born and the day that I figured out why, right? And so she said, when you leave this earth, if people remember you as a basketball player, then you've done a poor job of living. So that was heavy for a 10-year-old. I mean, it's heavy for a grown man. You know what I'm saying? But so I've never forgotten that, and God rest her soul. So everything that I've always done, anything that I've accomplished, I try to give back to the next generation of people because I understand those challenges that they're facing every single day.
Man, that's so exciting. We're talking to philanthropist, community engager, and happens to be a pretty good head basketball coach at North Carolina Central University, LeVelle Moton, and so happy to have him here. It's for me. If I had a park named after me and a statue there, I'd be riding by there every day just taking a look at it. But talk about
on Instagram.
Yeah, I know that's right. Check them out. Talk about the process, though. I mean, this whole statue thing. Let's talk about it. Was created by the local artist Stephen Hayes. Talk about the process with that.
Yeah, shout out Stephen Hayes.
Yes.
What happened was, it was crazy because they don't actually call it a statue. They call it a bus, right?
Right.
And I'm going to be like, we were on the phone one time, with the City of Raleigh, myself and my team, and they were talking about, look, we're going to give them a bus. And I was like, I don't want no bus. I didn't even know what a bus was. So I was like, I don't want no bus. This is a bus. You know what I'm saying? And so my partner, Terrell, shout out Terrell Mitchell, he texted me. He's like, bro, do you know what a bus is? I said, no, but I don't want it. They was like, I said, yo, that's a statue. That's like the statue that you see with the Hall of Famers in football. Right. I was like, oh, okay, give me a bus then. You know what I'm saying? So it was cool.
Put me on the bus.
Right. And so, it was a weird process, man, because they said, we want you to show up for the day of the bus. And I said, okay. And so I was under the impression that I go to a warehouse, meet with Steven, and select a picture.
Yeah.
And, he go from there because he's an artist and he scoped it from there, just like we did in elementary. And so Terrell must have knew what's going on because I didn't know. And he was like, you want me to go with you? And I'm like, I'm a grown man. Going you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
I said, you
can
pick
a picture, but okay.
Yeah. I said, you can if you want to. So I go into the warehouse and it's like in Durham in the back of the woods somewhere. And I'm like, okay, like what's going on in here? So when I walk in, Steve is playing music and he says, you ready? And I was like, yeah. So I'm thinking he's going to go to his computer and pull up a picture, but he was like, all right, take your shirt off. I was like, hold on, like what? Like what?
Yeah, but you there like wait a minute,
I'm like, hold on, like what's this? And Terrell was like, yo, you got to take your shirt off because they're going to do the bus from up here. And then he was like, "What music you want to listen to?" I was like, "Hold on, man. Like this ain't. I'm thinking I'm coming up here to select a picture and watch you begin this craft and the molding or whatever.
Pick your music and take your shirt
I was
off.
like, hold on, man. And I was like, nah, I'm not doing this. And so Terrell was like, nah, this is just the process. I was like, yeah, you make sure you stay here with me. I don't know this boy like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? It was all that going on. Like, you make sure you stay here with me. After 10 minutes, call my mama, put her on speakerphone. I'm going, we go right back to our mama, don't we?
Oh, wow, yeah.
Like, Ma, right. And so it was all that, man. And after a while, he started wrapping my head with the texture or whatever, and it was like that, made out of that cast material.
Yeah, like a plastic.
And it was the scariest moment of my life, man, because it hardened up, and I couldn't breathe out of anything except for my nostrils. Wow. And I had to sit there for like 45 minutes, and they couldn't hear me. I couldn't move because it had to form and harden. I said, man, if y'all don't get me out of here, I was losing my mind.
Wow.
And so when they took it off me, I ran out the warehouse. And Terrell playing jokes on me. He was like, man, it kind of broke. I need you to come back and do it again. I said, look, man, I don't know what that statue is going to look like.
But
you can take Samuel Jackson and put it up there and just say LeVelle Moton, but you're not getting nothing out of me no more, man. Like, that was crazy.
Oh, man, so you will not be wrapping me up with
never
just
again. I would
again.
never go through that ever again. Yeah. If I break my neck, then nah, I'm not getting it.
He said, wrap me from the jaw down.
Yeah, my chin down, man. That was just too much right there. But we made it through.
Good stuff, man.
Well, we are talking to Coach Levelle Moton, who will have an unveiling of his statue this weekend. Before you were here, we were talking about just one of the great things, seeing so much that's happening for you, is getting your flowers, while you're living. Mm-hmm. But I'm sure that comes also with a lot of pressure as well. So just how do you feel about that statue, a mural, or just so much that God is doing for you right now? But does that add a level of pressure?
It does, right? Like, but I live by a quote that, adversity introduces a man to himself. And I went through so much when I was a kid, so many trials and tribulations, being picked on, being the butt of the jokes, right? Because it wasn't sexy to be from the hood when we were young, when I was young, right? Mm-hmm. Now everybody want to act like they from there.
They want to
act like they overcame something, right?
That's
but
right.
It wasn't like that. I had one pair of shoes, one pair of jeans, maybe a sweatsuit, so it was tough, right? And so I realize now that it was just really God preparing me for what He had in store for me, and He had to shape and mold me, just like the actual process of the bus. I had to be shaped and molded into what He ultimately wanted me to be, and understand what that word pressure really is. So a lot of people think it's pressure, but I know what real pressure is. Pressure is not knowing where your next meal is coming from. Pressure is not knowing if those lights are going to be on. A lot of times, it was people in our community who had to run an extension cord because their power was out to the home beside them. You know what I'm saying? So it was tough. Like that was legit pressure for me, not basketball or not living up to some sort of reputation, because anybody that knows me knows, look, I come from this place and I tell them, look, I'm far from perfect. You talk to me for 5 minutes, you'll be like, oh yeah, he not perfect, right? Right. So we don't even put on and display that image. And when you come from hell, you bound to bring some of those demons with you.
That's
anyway.
right. That's right.
You know what I'm saying? And so I say things I shouldn't say sometimes, but I'm still a work in progress, and I think at the end of the day, that's what people respect even more, because he's still a real person, and I'm not looking like I'm holier than thou, looking down the barrel of my nose. I just do what I do from my heart and let the chips fall where they may.
Wow,
Man.
powerful.
Good stuff. We're talking with head coach LeVelle Moton for North Carolina Central Eagles. We're talking about so many things that he's doing in the community, but today is about his community involvement and community give back. Let's talk about the youth, right? Let's talk about young people. They see you as the head basketball coach over at Central. They see your basketball career. They see you, talking to famous athletes and Chris Paul, and you're friends with those guys. And then trying to get them to understand the work that it takes and the preparation that it takes and where they are today. How do you kind of help bridge that gap for young people 9, 10, 11 years old?
I think the first thing we all need to understand is that, and again, I'm just plagiarizing and regurgitating everything my grandma told me. She told me, like, everything
I do it all the time.
Right.
My grandma, she probably sitting there right now. Boy, you gonna pay me.
Yeah, it's copyright, right? Everything you need to know, you learned in kindergarten. right? My grandmother's the smartest woman I ever met in my life, and she didn't even have a formal education. She had like a 3rd or 4th grade formal education. And we go to school and, you know, the world tells us we need to graduate high school and go get this degree or this bachelor's, this master's, this PhD, and all of these educations and solve the square root of this and the Pythagorean theory and da-da-da. And you leave thinking you're educated, but the truest form of education is knowing who you are. You know what I'm saying? And then once you know who you are, you know how to move and navigate through this world. So I try to tell kids, cultivate and foster relationships. Don't burn bridges. That's been a problem in our community. Like, we'll cut people off, and we got to understand it's people that make this world go round. So for me, my basketball career, the inception of it came from my 7th grade teacher. That's who gave me a chance. Shout out to Miss Selden.
Yeah.
And then Kathy Moore, who's now the Wake County Public Schools superintendent.
Oh, wow.
She gave me the high school opportunity. But these are 2 women who taught me when I was a kid. You know what I'm saying? And so it comes back full circle. And that's what I tried to tell them. That's what I tried to instill in them. That's what I try to show them by example. Look, I know these people, but I'm always myself regardless of whoever I'm around. And everything that I do is I try to make sure it comes from a pure place, so I can inspire the youth and so I can, you know, show them, because I know, like, coming from those situations, you got to see it in order to do it, right? And the last thing I tell them is, like, the first thing I ask people is, like, what's your dream? And why do you want to do what you do? And if they say anything about, you know, I want to do this because me, I know it's not going to work, because I know, like, when your dream is about you, it's gonna fall to the wayside. Your dream has to be bigger than you. I look back at my old report cards and things that I wrote in elementary and middle school, and my mom kept everything, right? My mom is that person that keeps everything. You go to my mama's house right now, she got a Jet magazine with Bobby Womack on the cover. And you better not touch. I touch it if you want to. You know,
not Bobby Womack.
Bobby Womack and Al Green right there on the coffee
you better
table.
come up.
Like, Mom, when you gonna throw this away? This 1972. That might come. You know what I'm saying? So,
Well, that was a good issue, though. That was a good magazine.
you know what I'm saying? Like,
Good magazine.
so she's giving me all these things that I've written when I was young, and it was almost like it was clairvoyant. Like, I kind of prophesized that this is what I wanted to do. But I wrote an essay when I was like 12. And I said that my dream when I was 12 years old was for everyone from Lane Street to live their dream. You know what I'm saying? I was like, whoa, I didn't even know I was writing that at 12, but I meant that because I had
That's
so many friends and so on and so forth. So my philanthropy just comes back to kind of like, you know, align itself with what I written when I was 10, 12.
That's very interesting. The City of Raleigh will be celebrating the renaming of LeVelle Moton Park and statue unveiling to honor local philanthropists, as you mentioned, and North Carolina Central men's basketball coach LeVelle Moton. The dedication and unveiling will take place Saturday, April the 30th. That's this Saturday, 12 p.m. at 913 East Lane Street in North Carolina. Raleigh, North Carolina coach has worked to pay it forward, okay, in investment in affordable housing near his neighborhood. He just talked about that. Running the Vail Cares Foundation. I mean, Coach, when you look at all these things, it's seriously, it really, first of all, thank you for coming by. I know you could be a lot of places. You always show us some love.
You know I love you,
I know.
man. Not only am I up, I'm out.
Yeah,
I'm always up.
Yeah, that's right.
Out.
That's right.
I said, man, I got to show them love.
Yeah, man,
right?
we appreciate that. So we don't take that lightly, and we think it's an honor. And really, you do pay it forward. You are a living example of what people should do to set an example. So what do you want your legacy to be, Coach?
That's a good question, man. I think legacies need to be defined by others and not you. I just think I don't do it for legacy. I do it just out of, it's me, it's pureness, right? Sometimes I frustrate my wife with it because she thinks I do. She always tell me, man, you cannot save this world. You know what I'm saying? Like, she tell me that all the time, and it's always a fiber in my body that says, no, this person needs help, that person needs help, and so on and so forth. Sometimes people can manipulate that and take advantage of you, but at the end of the day, you know, I just try to do right by people, and whatever the results are, that's on them. However they react and how they respond, that's on them. So my legacy, to answer your question, man, I just think that needs to be defined by other people. But I hope it's associated with what my grandma said, that when I leave this earth, if I remember by being a basketball player, then I've done a poor job of living. So I just want people to know, like, his blessings he shared with other people.
Outstanding. Coach, you know what? As always, it's a pleasure having you. It's a pleasure talking to you. And you know what? It's a pleasure talking to you in this light, because there are a lot of young people, a lot of people listening that need to see, understand, feel, and respect what it takes to want to really give back. And it can come from anywhere and everywhere, as it should. And you're a shining example of that. And we're always proud of you on this show.
Yes.
You already know that.
I appreciate you, man.
You always know that. So, it is what it is. But next time you holler at some of the guys, though, them shoes you get, all that.
Yeah, man, I got you.
I mean,
just tell me your sizes. I promise.
6.5.
Cause my wife, I bet I got about 40 pair in my room. My wife's like, this got to go, like unopened. I don't wear them, bro. So like, please let me know. I owe y'all that. Y'all my day ones too, man. So I'm so proud of y'all, and just the evolution of where you guys started and where you are now and what you doing. That's huge, man. So I had to come show love and pay homage as well.
We appreciate it, Coach.
It's exciting to have you.
As always.
Thank you.
As always. Hey, tonight is